Here's a nice easy question to ponder. Define evil. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is we're going to go through these 10 examples of horror movie scenes that were so beyond what was necessary that they have a lovely new moniker. With that in mind, I'm Sean Ferrick for What Culture Horror, and here are the most evil horror movie scenes ever. Number 9, Thestoning, Speak No Evil, 2022. The fact this list is starting with something as disturbing as this should make it clear how rough things are going to get. Buckle up, buckaroos! 2022's Speak No Evil is painfully grueling and unfair, and nothing spells that out better than the gut-wrenching finale. Throughout the film, you watch as a Danish family are charmed by a Dutch couple, only to find their behaviour increasingly concerning. Things eventually reach a boiling point as the family attempt to escape, but are caught by the deranged duo. Then, it really hits the fan. The couple, now revealed to be serial killers, take the family's young daughter and cut her tongue off. Afterwards, they take out the loving parents, force them to strip, and stone them to death. Making all this worse is the dialogue beforehand as the father asks why they are doing this, and one of them replies, "Because you let me." It's horrible to watch as the killers are brutally cold, even cuddling up to each other to gaze at their handiwork. It's impossible for your blood not to boil when watching this pessimistic downer of a climax. Number 8, Feeding on the Shine, Dr. Sleep, 2019. Everyone needs to eat, but some have specific dietary requirements. You've got vegans, gluten-free folks, and even those who devour the steam emitted from psychic children. Oh, how different we all are. Dr. Sleep features a group of immortal vampires who partake in that last one, going to horrendous lengths to grab a bite. While this group, known as the True Knot, do some awful things, their absolute worst moment comes when they find a young boy with the shine and torture him to death. The barbaric sequence starts with them tying him down. The poor boy asks, "Are you going to hurt me?" And their diabolical leader, Rose the Hat, says yes, informing him that his pain makes their meal better. As you'd expect, they make this kid's final moments agonizing as Rose tears his body up with a knife, and they feed on a strange steam released from his mouth. The sequence is abhorrent as the boy's screams are frighteningly real. Additionally, the True Knot's clinical effectiveness and lack of empathy make it clear they've done this countless times before. You certainly don't want psychic powers with this group around. Number 7, The Execution, Red State, 2011. One word that quickly comes to mind when thinking of Kevin Smith movies is goofiness. That's why it was such a surprise when he released his first horror movie, Red State, and it was a grounded take on religious fundamentalists. No Jane, Silent Bob in this one. Red State takes you inside a fanatic religious cult known as the 5 Points Trinity Church, and wastes no time in showing off just how evil they are. The way they do this is via a devastating execution scene led by the cult's leader, Abdomen Cooper. In the scene, Cooper delivers a sermon about the dangers of the internet and homosexuality before revealing that he has captured a gay man and stuck him to a crucifix. After delivering more vile hate speech, he orders members of his congregation to shoot the man in the head. As you can expect, it's a challenging scene to watch. The combination of the gritty tone, realistic violence, and disgusting words from Cooper make for a disturbing cocktail. It also establishes that this antagonist takes his beliefs way too far, making you worry for all of the other characters he's captured. Number 6, Captain Vidal's bottle interrogation, Pan's Labyrinth, 2006. Pan's Labyrinth is a wicked movie full of disturbing monsters, children in peril, and a dark fantasy world. Despite this, a single scene with a bottle and some misplaced anger is one of the flick's most horrifying moments, an accomplishment and a half. The scene in question follows an interrogation by the film's chief antagonist, Captain Vidal. After being called in to talk with a father and his son, caught by his men, Vidal deems them traitors and brutally caves the son's face in with a bottle. The poor father is forced to watch before being shot in the chest. Now, while the kill in itself is deeply disturbing, it's Captain Vidal's attitude that puts the writing on the wall for his character. He shows absolutely no remorse, even after finding evidence proving their innocence post-execution. If he will murder these complete strangers without batting an eye, then what might he do to our protagonist? This is villain building excellence, so let's all tip our hats to Guillermo del Toro. Number 5, The Head in the Abdomen, The Poughkeepsie Tapes, 2007. This pseudo-documentary centers on one of the most deplorable fictional serial killers in existence. He's a villain so over the top that his first crime involves abducting and murdering an 8-year-old girl. As such, you know he's gonna do some serious damage in this flick. So, what is the worst this guy has to offer? Well, it's a scene that comes surprisingly early in the runtime, depicting one of his grisliest murders. During the scene, the killer captures an innocent couple by clubbing one and chloroforming the other. He kills the boyfriend, then takes his severed head and, brace yourselves, sews it into his still living girlfriend. Afterwards, he revels in the opportunity to wake the poor girl up and show off his handiwork. Oh, and he also points a camera in her face to get a reaction. That'll make one hell of a TikTok. The character goes on to perform plenty of other frightening feats, but there's something so maliciously cruel about this one that stands out among the rest. It's enough to give you shivers, and it's an indication of how melodramatic and cruel this underground film is. Number 4, A Brutal Execution, Apostle, 2018. It's a funny old cliche that a father will always disapprove of their daughter's boyfriend, but nobody was laughing when this movie turned that idea into a ghastly display of capital punishment. Apostle is a compelling folk horror about a mysterious cult on a remote island, but within it is a love story that makes Romeo and Juliet look like the proposal. That is because the father of one of the star-crossed lovers, the movie's main antagonist, Quinn, happens to be a pure psychopath. This comes to a head when he kills his daughter after finding out she was pregnant, frames her boyfriend Jeremy, and stages a public execution for him. Sadly, this isn't your run-of-the-mill hanging. Instead, Quinn clamps Jeremy down and burrows a rusty drill into his brain. The scene isn't even as gruesome as it sounds, as not much is shown, but it's the injustice that's enough to boil your blood, especially when Charles whispers, "I wanted this," into Jeremy's ear before killing him. He truly is a bastard. Note to all the dads, don't kill your daughter, then drill a hole in their boyfriend's head. Not cool. Number 3, The Barrel, Megan is Missing, 2011. This infamous movie was itching for a place on this list, as its finale is so sickening that even the biggest fans of depraved horror will scream. Megan is Missing is a found footage horror that drip feeds you a girl's quest to find her missing friend. This ultimately ends terribly as the young girl, Amy, gets abducted by the same stranger who took the titular Megan, leading to a host of horrendous acts performed on her. While there's a multitude of vulgar moments, it's the final reveal that delivers the biggest gut punch. The vicious captor promises Amy that she will be released if she gets inside a barrel, but his true intentions become clear as Amy looks inside and sees Megan's decaying corpse. She begs and pleads, but to no avail, as the kidnapper forces her into the barrel and proceeds to bury it in a nearby forest. Just imagine slowly suffocating to death in a claustrophobic squeeze right next to the corpse of your best friend. It's a scene so abhorrent that it will make you sick to your stomach. Number 2, Needle Torture, Imprint, 2006. Here's some keywords to quickly sum this scene up. Needles, fingernails, and screaming. Lots and lots of screaming. This infamous sequence comes from Takashi Miike's Imprint, a horrendous flick that manages to scare you every which way despite clocking in at only an hour. The scene follows the barbaric torture of a young sex worker accused of stealing a jade ring. How is she tortured, you ask? Well, she is burned in her armpits and has a needle inserted under her fingernail. Ouch. Sadly, the show's not over yet, as this poor girl gets the whole shebang. Needles are inserted into all of her other fingers, and then into her gums, leaving her mouth forced open in a nightmarish visual. The final stamp is set as she gets hoisted up by the ropes and left to hang there in pain for hours on end. Damn. Like, with a few of these entries, the body horror is made even worse by the reactions of those around. Her colleagues take gleeful pleasure in her agony, but worst of all is the torturer, who has an almost orgasmic look on her face whenever a needle finds a home in her body. Number 1, Jack's Ethical Hunting, The House That Jack Built, 2018. The biggest endorsement for Lars von Trier's The House That Jack Built is that the film's titular character makes Patrick Bateman look like a gentleman. Still, as bad as his actions are, like building a literal house out of the corpses of his victims, there's one scene that is exceptionally sickening. In this sequence, Jack invites a woman and her children out on a trip before whipping out a sniper rifle and hunting them. He claims to engage in ethical hunting practices, intending to shoot them in the correct order, taking the children first, then the mother. He does exactly that, killing the innocent young boys right in front of their mother's eyes. Jack then creates a disturbing tableau as he forces the mother to have a picnic with the corpses of her children before shooting her. Then, and I can't believe I'm saying this, there's more, he takes one of the children, performs a taxidermy on them, and stores it in his freezer. Trust the creator of movies like Antichrist and Nymphomaniac to make something as vile as this. Jack deserves to burn in hell for all he did in this flick. Frankly, folks, I'm feeling a little sick right now, so that's all from me.